Welcome to my video on solving number word problems. I'm going to have two examples. The first example is one number is 4 times another number. Twice the sum of the two numbers is 40. Find the numbers. Okay, so our first step in solving any of these type of problems is to define the variables. So the problem tells us we've got two numbers. We'll let S be equal to the small number, and we'll let L be equal to the large number. Now, step 2, let's write down the expressions. And this is where it gets a little bit more, just takes practice to figure out what they're trying to tell you in these words, turn these words into equation. So one number is 4 times another number. So that tells us that the larger number is going to be 4 times the smaller number, because the larger number's got to be larger, so it's got to be in that respect. And the second sentence tells us the sum of the two numbers is 40, twice the sum. So twice the sum of S plus L is equal to 40. So that's given. So now this becomes an algebra problem, just reducing it down. What we're going to do is take the L and put it into this equation. So now we're going to get 2 times S plus 4S is equal to 40. So there's our equation, one unknown. We can solve that. So 2S plus 8S is equal to 40. So we've got 10S is equal to 40. Divide both sides of the equations by 10. So that gives us that S is equal to 4. So there's our first answer. Now we know that the larger number is 4 times S, that's equal to 16. So there's going to be our answer. The smaller number is 4 and the larger number is 16. Now let's check that out. We know the larger number is 4 times the smaller number, and so 16 is 4 times 4, so that checks. And then we know that from the second equation, 2 times the smaller number plus the larger number is equal to 40. So that's 40 is equal to 40, so that checks. So that is a good answer. In example 2, the greatest of 3 consecutive integers is 10 more than twice the second integer. What are the 3 numbers? And the first thing we want to do is make sure we understand what an integer is. So an integer, it's a whole number. Minus 1, 0, 1, on and on. And it is not a fraction. So that's what an integer is. Now in our solution, the step 1 is we want to define our variables. So the problem statement tells us that there's 3 numbers, and they're consecutive. So n will be the smallest, n plus 1 will be the middle number, and n plus 2 will be equal to the largest. So those are our 3 numbers. They're consecutive integers. Now the second equation, or deriving an equation from this, gets a little more problematic. So what we want to do is, once we've defined our step 2, is we want to write our expressions. And that's converting words into algebraic statements. So what this tells us is n plus 2 is 10 more than 2 times n plus 1. So the greatest of three integers is 10 more. So the greatest is the n plus 2 is 10 more than 2 times the second integer. So that's the second integer. So that's what we're converting these words into an equation. Now if we just write this out, it's n plus 2 is equal to 2 times n plus 1 plus 10. And generally in these type of problems, the second step is the hardest to convert the words into an algebraic statement. And then step 3 is solve for n. Okay, so there's our equation. So we've got n plus 2 is equal to 2n plus 2 plus 10. Now, we want to get all the n's on one side, so let's take away minus 2n from both sides. N plus 2 minus 2n is equal to 2n plus 12. I just added the 2 and the 10 together, minus 2n. These go away. So on the left-hand side, we're going to be left with 2 minus n is equal to 12. Now, if we add 2 or subtract 2 from both sides, so we're going to get minus 2 plus 2 minus n is equal to 12 minus 2. These go away, so minus n is equal to 10. Multiplied by minus on both sides, so we get n is equal to minus 10. Now we know the next instance, that's the smallest, the other one must be one larger, so n plus 1 is equal to minus 9, n plus 2 is equal to minus 8. So that is our 3 consecutive integers right there, starting minus 10, minus 9, and minus 8. So let's just check that real quick to make sure it's going to be right. So if n is equal to minus 10, so we know that minus 10 plus 2 is equal to 2 times minus 10 plus 1 plus 10. So we just substituted the n back into that equation, back into this equation right there. So let's work that out. So minus 10 plus 2 is minus 8, equal to, so that's minus 20 plus 2. That's minus 18 plus 10 is minus 8. So that checks. So our equation, the answer to our question is n is equal to minus 10. The next number is minus 9. And the largest number is minus 8. Well, I hope you got something out of these two example problems from this video. If you did, please give me a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. And I want to thank you for watching.